Hello and welcome back to my channel where I like to have fun with all things beauty while being critical about what I accept into my collection. Today is a new makeup releases video and I am actually re-recording a portion of this because I wanted to include some things that were not released yet when I made this video yesterday. So you're definitely going to notice an outfit change, probably a scenery change. I try to keep the settings the same, but I'm always hitting buttons and doing various things to screw up my filming process. So I'm trying my best to keep that the same. And it's also a different eye look. But all of that aside, I am really jumping on here today because of the Nomad release. So I went on at length yesterday going on about how this was actually going to be a palette I might skip because they are re-releasing Haunted Europe in September, and I'm definitely buying that. I was hoping to not be tempted to buy this one as well. Between that and the fact that someone on Instagram who got this palette in PR posted a look to their stories, and they didn't say that this was the palette they used, but if you saw that their clues and different things, it was pretty obvious that this was the palette. And in that look, they used orange, red, and icy blue. I did not like that combination. And from the photos and everything that came, the few shades that they leaked before the reveal, I wasn't feeling it. And I really don't tend to like orange and red on me. Like typically the warmest I'll go is like the look that I have on today, which is the new Glaminatrix palette, Barely Basic. I have the pumpkin spice row, I guess you could call it, which is a little bit orangey brown. That's typically as warm as I get. I don't like straight up orange. I don't like red, and I certainly don't need any more icy blue. But I will admit, when I saw the entire palette revealed this morning and I saw that it was only going to be $44, I just decided I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it at launch. It launches on Tuesday, August 20th, or if you're a night owl like me, Monday night at midnight. So I am going to get it at launch, so I will be able to put up a review. I do like to review these because I feel like most of the reviews I see anyway are from people who get these palettes in PR. So I like to throw up my review as somebody who has purchased it, even though I will say, when Nomad in particular has come out with palettes in the past that the formula was not great, I have always really been able to get authentic feedback about that. So I do appreciate that. I really don't think that their formula has always been foolproof. I used to not get their palettes because I really felt like I needed to wait and see a lot of different reviews to know if a palette was worth it to me or not. Actually, the first one I did pick up was Ghost Town, which that's coming back in September as well. And I will say, as much as I love the color story of that one, the formula hasn't really aged the best. However, I think that they've improved the formula even since then. So the two more recent palettes, the New Zealand Stargazing and the Florida Keys palette, were both fabulous. And if that's the new normal for Nomad, I might get every release from this point forward, but that is partially because I'm also a little bit of a collector. I will never buy any makeup for review purposes only because I don't make a single penny doing any of this. So I will never buy something just for review, but I do buy different makeup for different reasons. And I'm not like a big collector by any means, but certain things, if I just am being very honest with myself, I'm not buying 100% purely for use case. Some things I am buying either for curiosity or as somewhat of a collector piece. For this, I really see it as a piece of art. It's on canvas and it looks like an oil painting, and I will leave it out on my dresser this fall. I won't leave it out all year and I certainly won't display it in my living room, but I will leave it out, so it is a bit of an art piece. One of the things that I really appreciate about Nomad is their attention to detail. I really think they go all in when they commit to a theme. Like, especially at this point, now that they've gotten some popularity under their belt, they could very easily play it safe with these shades and these color stories and they could release neutral palettes that come in really cute packaging and people would buy them, and they might actually be able to sell more eyeshadow that way. But instead, what they've done is they've really committed to keeping color stories that represent the places that they're traveling to. And I appreciate that. The Keys palette especially was one that shocked me because when I first saw that color story, I straight up didn't like it. And as soon as I got it into my hands and I started really playing with it, I absolutely fell in love, and it was so versatile, and it got me to put looks together that I never would have done otherwise. And I don't know, I'm also not that far from the Keys. That color story was completely on point. So I think that they've really stayed authentic to their original commitment when they started their brand. I appreciate their commitment to detail when it comes to that and every aspect of design, from the pan embossings to the packaging. You know, really cutting corners with packaging is a really good way for any brand to save money. And not only is every palette unique, but I think every palette is more beautiful than the last. And, you know, that's even true for add-ons. Like for the Keys palette, they had a tote bag that you got with, like, I think it was an $80 minimum spend, but that tote bag is nicer than tote bags that I have straight up paid for. So, you know, all of these opportunities where other brands cut corners, they don't. And I think in a sea of oversaturated makeup, all of that stuff really matters. I appreciate that, you know, their shade names. I appreciate the inclusion of an ingredient from that area. And oh my gosh, I almost forgot, and their donation to a good cause. Now, I don't know that they're donating a huge amount of money. I have no idea. But regardless, they make some effort to donate to a cause. And most makeup brands are not doing that, so I really appreciate that as well. You know, I really try to not become too attached to any brand because I don't think brands are our friends. I really don't. They may act like it on Instagram, but at the end of the day, they're business. That's it, business. But that doesn't mean that it's still not fun to see some of the things that they're doing. And yeah, that stuff is going to add up and make a difference. And all of that combined is why I'm buying this palette. That, and I'm genuinely curious. I have no idea where this color story is going to take me. For the most part, when I look at a eyeshadow palette or a set of swatches, I instantly am making up color combinations in my head and what I'm going to do. With Nomad, I have no idea where I'm going to go with it. And that's exciting for me. It just keeps it interesting. And because it's very reasonable at $44, I am absolutely going to pick it up, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. The other thing that used to really come into play when I was, especially with eyeshadow, is where a shadow is being made. You know, I really get excited when I see eyeshadows coming out of Italy. I don't know that I've ever tried an eyeshadow from Italy that was bad. However, if I see that they're coming from literally anywhere else, I mean, most of the palettes that I've seen either come from China or the US, and I feel completely equally about formulas coming from China or the US. It really doesn't mean much other than you don't know. Like, I have some of my favorite and least favorite palettes from both China and the United States. So it's just a bit more of a gamble, but my experience anyway from Nomad has been, even though they had some consistency issues in the past, everything that I've tried recently has been good. So that's another reason why I'm really excited to try this one as well. Since it has been so long since I've done one of these, I figured I would go back a little bit further and talk about some of the other ones that I missed, like the Pat McGrath release. These quads, I don't like the shades. And from what I've seen, these don't come from her Italian lab, so they're especially not worth the Pat McGrath prices. Between that and they're in cardboard packaging, like, I really don't know. I feel like this is the time of year where we're supposed to be getting a new mothership, and I really don't know what to expect this year. I skipped on the mothership from last year, mostly because of the color story. I really didn't have any questions about the quality, but after seeing the reviews from these palettes, I absolutely will question the quality. And frankly, I have no plans on buying any more motherships until that changes. I see these new lipsticks from Nars and the new packaging. These are $40, but they're refillable. I mean, they're fine. It doesn't excite me though in any way. It's really hard for me to get excited about lipstick. I am kind of the mindset that it does not need to cost a lot of money to be a nice lipstick. So, it'd be worth it if I found a shade that I knew I absolutely loved, but I certainly don't have a good enough time with lipstick that I would ever blind buy it. I see a new mascara from Charlotte Tilbury. I did really like their last mascara. However, this one comes in glass packaging, and I don't think I want that in my bathroom. I tend to leave my mascara sort of all over the place, but often on my bathroom sink. And I'm sure that this is thicker glass and it's not like extremely prone to shattering. But I don't know. I sort of see that as an accident waiting to happen, even though I would absolutely love a sample. Okay, the Chantecaille Cheetah collection. This is just an absolutely not. The eye trio is $78 for 3 tiny pans. I have looked into their eyeshadow singles before because I've heard really great things, but I just don't think that this would offer anything to me. Like, I've tried luxury shadows, Tom Ford, YSL, and Charlotte Tilbury is another one that's similar in formula. They don't impress me. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something more impactful. I think that as I get older and my eyelids become increasingly problematic, I could see myself being interested in a finish like this, but I certainly don't think I would need to pay $78 for that. And I've just never been that impressed by anything I've ever tried from Chantecaille. This Guerlain Collection, it's just, I'm not gonna say that it's objectively ugly. It's just not my taste. Pretty much everything about this, including the packaging, it's just not my taste. And, that being said, I'm not an artist, and I know that this is definitely somebody's taste, but it's not mine, and I'm grateful because I certainly don't want to spend Guerlain money. I have been interested in trying the meteorites, and I do plan on trying them at some point, but I'll wait for them to not be in this packaging, I think. I see Danessa Myricks has dropped new Infinite Chrome Waterproof Micro Pencil Eyeliner colors, and these are very beautiful. I have a few of them that I got during one of her sales when they were $11, and the shift is quite something, They really do shift. Whereas I've had other duo and multi-chrome eyeliners that, yeah, you can see the shift if you put it on your hand, but when you put it on your eye, it kind of gets lost. These perform well. However, there is something in them that I'm definitely allergic to because every single time that I tried to use them, my eyes would sort of swell up, not like immediately, but after wearing them for a few hours, they would just burn and it was so uncomfortable. I finally gave up, but I really like how easy they are to use because they do have such a fine tip. They glide on well. They check all the boxes. Unfortunately, I won't be able to try any of these even though the colors look lovely. There is also a shade extension of the Twin Flames liquid eyeshadow, and this looks beautiful as well. I just have to be honest with myself, and I don't use the ones I have. I have one of these that is quite beautiful, that has like a pink to gold shift, and they are shifty, they perform well, but I just prefer her Lightwork palettes to these more liquidy products just for my eyes, just personal preference, I think they're really nice, but it's just not what I reach for. Then I see Dolly Parton is coming out with lipstick, I believe on August 20th. I will be purchasing one of those, probably the boring neutral shade, but regardless, I'm just a huge fan of hers in general, and I'm very excited to see this. Oh, it didn't even occur to me to talk about the fact that I have 2 different eye looks on. This is from another palette that I just bought from Glaminatrix. This is the Barely Basic palette. I absolutely love it. I knew I was going to love it, so, that wasn't really groundbreaking, but I couldn't pick just one look for my first time using the palette, so that's why I'm sitting here with two different eye looks. Okay, now the Gargoyle palette. Oh, this had me having trouble falling asleep the other night. So this has already been released, and I was so close to picking it up, but even with my 10% coupon, it was $75. And there was something about the color story just being something that I feel like I already have that kept me from doing it. I have to say, I love the Unearthly formula. So the fact that probably my most similar palette is Ghost Town, and that formula is not aging that well. When I first got that palette last Halloween, I guess, I thought it was fabulous. It did crease a little bit, but it wasn't like problematic. And I feel like, unfortunately, over time, the shades have gotten, the shimmers, the mattes are fine. The shimmers have gotten a little bit squishier, and I'm able to use it. Like, I used it a few days ago, and I'll pop in a look here, and I was able to get the clumps out of the shimmer. However, it did still crease pretty noticeably by the end of the day. And because of that, I just find myself wanting to use that palette less and less. So that sort of in my brain was like an excuse to get the Unearthly version, which I think will age better. And obviously it is a little bit different. There are definitely some shades in here that are not in that other palette, but I am definitely still struggling. Like, you know, just from my Unearthly palette collection, I kind of have very similar things to this. So I've been good. I've been holding off. I know we're about to come into fall, like probably this time next week, we might even start seeing the fall releases. This is sort of the calm before the storm when it comes to that. And I'm going to want so many things. I really need to be mindful and really think about, you know, am I going to use a palette once or twice, even 10 times? To me, that's not enough. I need to really want to use a palette more than that. And I think reviews are probably going to push me into the buying it camp, because once I see it on somebody's eyes, it's going to make me want it more. What I really hope to see is comparisons. I really hope somebody out there makes a video duping it. And if they do, and if they're palettes that I have, I don't know. It's one of those things. I certainly know that I don't need it, but I really want it. It looks absolutely beautiful. You know, it's also like I see something like this released from Shell We Makeup. I've never heard of that brand before. I'm starting to get to the feeling that a lot of these have similar quality formulas. They're all pretty good, but am I gonna take a chance on a brand that I've never even heard of, or stick with something like Unearthly, which is very consistent? One thing I see here that I didn't notice before that I absolutely love, they have a mini for $29. I was scrolling past this, but I think I might have to put this brand on my radar. The fact that they offer minis in the same exact color story, like what a phenomenal way to try a new brand. I am a big fan of that. We have the Garden Busters palette. Now, I believe this palette is created by the same people who do Odin's Eye, which I am a fan of. I'm not like a diehard Odin's Eye fan, just because I don't feel like all of their shades are created equal. Like, they have some formulas that I love and others not so much. And I guess I just wish that they were all the same. Like, I wish they had all the same matte formula and all the same shimmer formula, but whatever. That's sort of being nitpicky, but we have so many good indie brands that I feel like I have to be nitpicky, and I certainly can't buy everything. So, I mean, a first impression, I don't like the layout. I don't like the different pan sizes. And then aside from that, I don't really love the color story. I mean, like, I don't know, the shade Tomato Juice is kind of fun, but I don't know. I have to say, I feel like I already have this from Odin's Eye. I feel like Odin's Eye does a good job with variety. I think a lot of their palettes have a lot of range because they have such a variety of shades within them. However, once you have a few of those palettes, you don't really need to keep buying them. I sort of feel like they're just not all that different. And if this quality is the same as Odin's Eye, I mean, I don't think you'll be mad, but I just don't really feel like it's necessary. I have two palettes by them. I have the two Halloween palettes from last year from their collaboration with Angelica, and I kind of felt like those palettes did a really good job like covering the bases, and this is kind of redundant. I mean, I don't know. Now that I'm really looking at the colors more closely, yeah, they're pretty. Odin's Eye is a very good priced brand. So this is $42.90, and I think, you know, that's pretty similar to what the Odin's Eye palettes go for. I don't know. I sort of feel like, yeah, I'm sure this is decent and it's kind of cute, but if you already have a lot of color, it's just not necessary. All right, I see a new launch from Kryptein Cosmetics. They are definitely on my list. I have not tried anything from them, but their stuff keeps popping up in my newsfeed, and I am definitely very interested. I do feel like kind of overwhelmed, I don't know, with my indie list. I like to really get in the weeds with all of my eyeshadow palettes, and I guess I feel like I want to keep the list of brands that I try somewhat edited, only because otherwise it just feels like it's too overwhelming to really have strong opinions about each and everything, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm always really hard on new brands, and it takes a lot for me to really want to jump in and make a purchase from a new indie brand. But I've seen enough of their stuff that I'm definitely interested. Oh, okay, this I am super interested in. The new foundation from Patrick Ta. I am always looking for foundation. I have extremely dry skin, but it's also like I have acne. Like I have pretty serious acne sometimes, so I like some coverage. I have textured skin, so I don't want like the most full coverage because that is not the best on texture, but I need something with pigment in it enough to give me coverage. So I feel like I am just Goldilocks, constantly trying new foundations. After trying foundations for like 5 years, and I mean like a lot, I have really stuck with my top two since the beginning, I guess I would say. Since I found my two holy grail foundations, nothing's been able to replace them. That is the Chanel No. 1 and the Nars Light Reflecting. This just, and I'm just looking at packaging. I'm not looking at swatches, model, photo, nothing. We have almost no information so far. But from what it looks like and what it's described like, I am expecting it to be a little bit like the Nars Light Reflecting. And if that's the case, sign me up. You know, I really don't think his last foundation went very well. I don't think a lot of people like that. So I'm hoping that they put more effort into this one. And honestly, I'm not going to spend the money to be a guinea pig for this. But once I see a few reviews, if people do like it, I'm really hoping it's out by the time Sephora has their fall sale and I can get it at 20% off, because I'm absolutely looking forward to trying that. Popping in here to add that my biggest fear with the Patrick Ta foundation is that it might be too luminous, like greasy almost. There's definitely a difference between hydrated and just adding oil to something, and I'm definitely concerned about that. I don't think it'll be like shimmer like the Makeup by Mario foundation was, but you know, because I'm sure that this is going to come with a considerable price tag, I'm definitely going to have to wait and see reviews. But if it seems even remotely appropriate, I will absolutely give it a try during the Sephora sale. So I see the new Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk eyeshadow palette. I'm not interested in this. Frankly, I straight up don't like the colors. I think the colors are not cute. And I have, I think, 1 or 2 eyeshadow palettes from Charlotte Tilbury, and like they're not terrible, but there's certainly nothing to write home about. It kind of turned me off from ever buying eyeshadow from them again, because there's better shadows. There are better shadows than Charlotte Tilbury. I think they make some really great complexion products, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I dislike everything from Charlotte Tilbury, but their eyeshadows just really don't impress me. ILIA is coming to Ulta. I don't care about that because I'm not really a big ILIA fan. I mean, I'm really not a fan of clean beauty in general, but I don't care. If something's nice, I could care less what their marketing is. But nothing I've ever tried from ILIA has ever impressed me enough to really want to buy multiple things from the brand. So I mean, it's always interesting anytime you see brands added to Ulta. I feel like in the past couple years, they've added a lot. So I think that's interesting, and what is great about that is their point system is phenomenal. So if you're a fan of any of the brands that move over there, it's a really good opportunity to get some stuff for free. Like I just got 2 Chanel foundations totally with points at $80 a pop, so it's good. It's a good thing when brands get added to Ulta. Tom Ford Blurring Soft Matte Powder. I pretty much know that that would be too drying on me. This from Urban Decay, like pretty much everybody else has said, I hate the shape. I'm not a fan of the shape of this, but I really like Space Cowboy. You know, that being said, because I like Space Cowboy, I own Space Cowboy, and I don't really need more, even similar things. Like last year when they did the palettes, when I first saw that, I really wanted them. But then when I really took a hard look at the shades, none of it really wound up being worth it to me because of the shade selection. This is a little bit more up my alley. I guess it really just depends on price. You know, it just says coming soon, so I have no idea, but the price would have a lot to do with whether or not I considered that. I'm going to go ahead and say probably not, just because it's probably going to be expensive. Like, they just came out with the new Naked palette. That really doesn't excite me. I dug through my collection and I actually found my original Naked palette, but I never even bought that. Somebody gave that to me because they didn't want it anymore, and I'm not sure if I ever even used it. So if it's been in my collection for this many years and gone untouched, I certainly don't need a new one. All right, and I think we'll finish it off with the new Blake Brown Beauty hair care line. I think this looks nice enough. I am somebody who likes a good smelling shampoo. So even though, as you can tell, I refuse to spend money on my hair because I don't like my hair. I put it up because I don't want to have to deal with it. So I'm never going to buy anything other than the bare minimum. I need to get a brush through my hair. But the scent profiles of this really got my attention. So when this comes back into stock, I did check a couple weeks ago and it was out of stock at Target. So I'm, certainly not in a rush, but the fragrances sound delightful. So I will certainly be trying 1 or 2 things from them. Unlike the new Phlur release, the heavy cream scent, that does not seem good to me. Lemon sugar, marshmallow, orange. Like, that's an okay scent for a candle, but I don't think I really want that on my skin. And then jasmine, coconut, vanilla mousse, salted caramel, whipped cream. Like, the base notes of vanilla, caramel, and whipped cream, that sounds okay. But everything else, I just feel like it's going to be like every other Phlur fragrance that I have other than the 2 I like. That is Vanilla Skin and Father Figure. For me, every other scent from them is just way too floral. And I'm done with that. And I also kind of think they're coming out with too many fragrances. I wish all fragrance would slow down, but especially Phlur, it feels like every 2 weeks they're coming out with something else. And all right, that will be it for now. I think that I might be getting sick. I'm not ever in the mood to be sick, but I'm certainly not in the mood to be sick right now. So hopefully that doesn't happen. My videos for this week got totally messed up. I filmed an entire Get Ready With Me that was just like chatting about life and random stuff. And I went to edit it and it was just like unwatchable. I don't know. I was just rambling on and I went on this tangent about music and it really didn't make any sense. So I had to scrap that. And then I wasn't able to film anything until today. And because of that, I went ahead and did 2 videos and then my camera died in the middle. So I don't know. I'm hoping that this is usable. But regardless, between today and tomorrow, I will definitely have another video for this week. And then I'm really hoping to do a roundup of everything I bought this summer. I bought a lot of things. And a lot of it was stuff that was on sale. So, sales definitely get me, but I feel like a lot of the sales that we've been having lately are repeat sales, like things that are likely to go on sale at one point for a holiday, whether it be real or fake, is likely to show up again and have another sale of the same things. So I think what's useful about that is I can look at the stuff that I may have wasted my money on and help other people from doing that in the future, because there's always going to be another sale. but only occasionally does it work out that I try something because of that and it ends up being a good idea. So I'll have a lot to say when it comes to that video, and I'm hoping, yes, I'm hoping to at least do 2 videos a week, and I'm also hopeful that I'll have more time to film in the fall because the releases definitely start coming a lot faster. And then we have the Sephora sale and the Ulta sale and just a lot of stuff. So part of me is looking forward to that. Part of me is dreading it because it's, financially a tough time of year for multiple reasons. But anyway, so I hope you can hear me okay. I am popping in yet again because I really wanted to put this video out today, but I woke up to some new releases that I really felt like were worth mentioning. So I'm going to try to do that really quick. So the first release I wanted to talk about is this from Singe Beauty. These are powder blushes, and honestly, they look really beautiful. My only hang up really is the fact that I just have way too many blushes right now. I will say I like the shade range here. I think she did a good job if you're only going to have 4 shades to do a good variety. I also really like that they're described as being hydrating but not shimmery. That is something that I appreciate in blushes. These kind of look like the Benefit powder blushes to me, and I love those. So if that's the case, this is probably a very nice release. Honestly, everything I've tried so far from Singe has been really good quality. And these colors look at least a little bit unique. So this is something that I'm like mildly interested in. They're only $18 a piece, so I'll probably pick one up at some point, but I don't think I'm going to be rushing out for launch, just not for blushes. That's just not how I feel about blushes right now. But these will be coming out on August 23rd. That's this Friday at noon CST, and you can get a discount if you buy all 4 for $65. We also have this from Natasha Denona coming the 22nd. I think this might be the first ever Natasha Denona palette that's ever come out that I didn't see leaked ahead of time. So, kudos to her for that. But this is just not that exciting. Because I love her formula, I will probably pick this up during the Sephora sale for 20% off, and I will use this as a companion palette the way I use I Need a Nude, but I'm not gonna say that I'm excited about it. If she does come out with a Rose and Wood palette before the Sephora sale, I will probably get that one instead, only because this one just looks too similar to everything that I already have in my collection. But, it's a fine staple, and I do use my staple palettes, so whatever. It's not like disappointing, but it's not exciting either. There is that one interesting duochrome, but that's not really enough for me. As much as I do like, especially the new Natasha Denona shimmer formula, I don't love it enough that I need to really go out of my way for it. Everything I'm looking at right now, I can very easily dupe. So a good release for the moment that we're in with eyeshadow, but I'm hoping that that changes at some point. I'm hoping that they start wanting to sell more eyeshadow and they bring it back in fashion because this is just kind of boring. What's not so boring is this from NYX. I have to be honest, I haven't actually seen Beetlejuice, which I know is a cardinal sin since I love Halloween so much. So I'm gonna make a point of watching the movie. I think I'm good on NYX eyeshadow, and those blushes, those colors are kind of trending right now, but it's not something that I need. What I might try are the lip products. I might pick up that sponge, looks cute. I do like NYX eyeliners a lot, but I haven't really tried a ton of other things from them. So throwing this in because it is at least interesting, but it's probably going to be a pass. And finally, I just wanted to throw this in. Lunar Beauty is having a 1-day sale, so this palette and the lip products that go with it are going to be 40% off. This is what that looks like. So the palette becomes $33 and the lip products become $10. Free shipping isn't until $75, so keep that in mind. I really considered getting the palette. I'm not really into liquid lipstick. But I considered the palette because I do really like the Lunar Beauty formula. That being said, I just feel like I can't splurge for this right now because there's too many other eyeshadow palettes that I'm getting that, I just, even at, $33 plus $8.50 for shipping, that's just too much for me. But I did think I would mention it. Obviously, this is quite time sensitive, but I wanted to throw it in there because I have tried their formula and it's a solid, good formula if this is something that you would like. That's it for now. I apologize for the voiceover. I'm kind of under the weather and I really wanted to get this video up today, but we're moving into fall. So this is probably going to be a once a week thing for a little while, but this is a little bit of a preview. Some new releases that are getting more exciting, I think, as the time goes on, as we get closer to fall. I don't know if it's been noticeable at all, but I do own this shirt in several different colors. It's my Rose Apothecary t-shirt. It's my absolute favorite shirt in the world. And it actually has gotten me thinking about getting back into silk screening. I used to do just like the cheap version of silk screening, but it was so much fun. And I have to see if I have any of my supplies anymore. We have like a pantry in our kitchen that, really we should use it for food, hurricane supplies, that kind of thing. And instead, it's my craft graveyard. It's just different phases of my life where I have gone through different crafting things where I just get really into something and then I buy everything involved. And as soon as I get even remotely good at it, I lose interest. But just off the top of my head, I have silkscreen, candle making, essential oils for the candle making, makeup making. I made blush and lipstick, and body lotions. I went ham with lotions. I made every kind of lotion. And soap. Oh, I really got into, well, I liked making liquid soap and shampoo, but I also got really into soap bars because they're so pretty. But I eventually had to stop because I don't use soap bars. So I just have this enormous Tupperware full of unused soap because at some point people didn't want more soap as gifts. So let me know, do you do that with crafting? I know it's a very common kind of thing, but I really, rather than let it all go to waste, I would love to get more into some of that stuff again. And if I do, I'll definitely make a video about it, just in case anyone cares. Oh, also, I don't know if you can see, but I have little cuts all over my face. I go through these weird phases where I just wake up in the morning and I'll have cuts all over my face. I assume I'm doing it in my sleep with my nails, but I really have no idea. And I have no idea why it happens sometimes and not others. It doesn't seem to correlate with me cutting my nails because that would make too much sense. And it doesn't seem to be when I've had like a rough night of sleep or anything else weird going on. I think I'm a werewolf, and that's really the only thing that makes sense. I hope everybody is having a fabulous week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.